What's going on, coaches? It's Ethan. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how exactly to start your very own tennis coaching business. I've broken it down into 5 simple steps for you guys to follow. I'm basically going to be going over what exactly I would do if I had to start my practice from scratch again. So make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to join the family and join the free Facebook group, link in the bio. It's a great place to get your questions answered if you're a newbie tennis coach. And without further ado, let's find out how I would build a tennis coaching business. All right, coaches, so let's get straight into it. Step number 1 is going to be market research. All right, now the first thing I would do is pull up all the practices in my area and start determining which ones are the successful ones and which ones are not so successful, right? And the way I determine if they're successful or not is I look at 3 things. The first thing I look at are their reviews. Do they have a lot of reviews? Are people having fun at their practices? And are they a reputable business? So ideally you want to look for a practice that you want yours to look like, right? The ideology behind that is if somebody else has already gone through the struggles and hardships to make this perfect practice, then you can take what they've done and replicate it for yourself and basically model their success. Because if it's going to work for them, then it's most likely going to work for you, right? So that's why I look at the reviews. The second thing I look at is how long have they been in business for, right? I don't want to look at businesses that have barely been running for like 2 months, right? Because they're just starting out, they're figuring out and getting all the kinks out of their own businesses. They're not really proven, so we don't know if they're going to be successful or not. So I typically look at businesses that have been running for at least a year, if not more, right? I like to look at, or the reason I like looking at these businesses that have been running longer is if they've been in business for that long, then clearly something they're doing is working. So these businesses already know what's working and what's not working, right? So they've pretty much already done all the heavy lifting for me. I can just take what they've done and model their success and implement it into my own business. Because again, if it's gonna work for them, then it's gonna work for me, right? And that's why I like looking at how long these businesses have been around, right? Then the last thing I look at, number 3, is how much traffic are these websites getting? I like to use a tool called similarweb.com. You can just go to this website and then plug in the website that you want to look at. You plug it in and it pulls up all these great metrics like how many monthly visitors does this website have and where is all this traffic coming from. So it's a really great resource you can use. For example, like back when I was starting my tennis coaching business, what I wanted my practice to be, what I envisioned, I looked at Rafael Nadal's Academy, right? It's a great program. Athletes from all around the world go to train at Rafael Nadal's Academy. Now, obviously, I'm thinking I can't replicate something like Nadal's Academy, but that's something that I wanted my practice to look like. So I went to SimilarWeb and I plugged in his website. I saw the different types of traffic he was getting, and obviously he was successful, and I could model his success and implement it into my own business, right? So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Step number 1 is all about modeling success, right? Finding other practices that are already successful and modeling them for your own, right? So let's move on to step number 2, guys, which is going to be tennis courts. We want to find tennis courts that are going to be reliable for our practices, right? So I like to look at the first thing I would do is pull up probably all the local tennis courts like in your area, probably within like a 3 to 5 mile radius of you. There's going to be a bunch, and then I would go to these tennis courts and check out their reservation systems, right? Each place is different. Some courts are just public and it's first come, first serve. And then others you can make reservations and set your time, right? I like to go for the courts that we can reserve our times because it gives us more control as coaches and in our business, right? We don't just show up to a first come, first serve and there's already people practicing there and you're sitting there with your students, right? That's not a good look. So I typically go for the reservations. And then as your practice starts to grow, you're going to want to contact the admin of these courts that are reservable, and work out a partnership to where you can get set times each week, right? So that's tip number 2, guys, or step number 2, I'm sorry, is I would start looking for tennis courts. Step number 3 is going to be to set up your website and your social channels, guys. The next thing I would do is set up my website first. I would either pay for a cheap website or I would start a free 14-day free trial and get my website up quickly, all right? You guys don't need anything fancy here, just something to get the job done, right? You're just starting, it's the hardest part. So get something out there as quick as you can and you'll be able to improve on it later. The next thing I would do is absolutely set up your Google My Business, all right? You're gonna need to get as many eyeballs as you can on your business. It's the hardest part is starting, so we need to get some traction going, right? And then I would start setting up my social channels, which would be Instagram and Facebook. During your free practices, guys, make sure to take a lot of pictures and videos because you'll be able to use that. These will be your assets for your business. You'll be able to upload that content to Facebook and Instagram, Google My Business, and your website, right? So a lot of super powerful stuff. Make sure you capture these moments in your business during these free practices, right? So that was step number 3, guys, is set up your website and social channels. So make sure you do that, right? On to step number 4, coaches, is gonna be market free lessons. Now, what I would do is I would let all my friends, family, and coworkers know that I'm gonna start offering free tennis lessons, right? You wanna start leveraging your network, okay? Because they're gonna know tennis players either in their circle of friends or they're just gonna know some, you know? You never know, right? You need to start leveraging your network, reaching out to people and asking for help. I'm sure they're gonna be more than willing to help you out if you have a good relationship with them, right? The next thing I would do is draft up a Word document, type free tennis lessons, all caps, big letters, my website below, phone number, and maybe a picture of me helping a tennis player, or if you don't have one, it can be just a friend. And I would print them off and I would start posting them at the tennis courts where I'm going to be holding my practice. I'd go to the local tennis shop and post them up there, local coffee shops, just anywhere I think that my ideal clients, my customers are gonna be so they can see it. Now, I recommend offering free tennis lessons for at least your first 1 to 2 weeks, guys. Now, I'm sure you're gonna be like confused at me, like, what the heck, Ethan? I don't wanna be working for free for 2 weeks. But I promise you guys, if you offer free lessons for your first 1 to 2 weeks, you're gonna get a much bigger turnout rate from people and they're gonna be much more inclined to come out to a free lesson, right? And this is exactly what your business needs in the beginning, is as much exposure as you can possibly get. And that's exactly what these free lessons are gonna do. They're gonna draw so many players out, and which is crucial to you in the beginning. Now, up until this point, I've only talked about free methods for getting players, because I assume a lot of coaches are gonna be on a budget, but if you do have capital, then I definitely recommend using Facebook ads to also drive more traffic, and you're gonna grow a lot quicker, right? So that's step number 4, guys, is market free lessons. On to step number 5, guys, is going to be deliver, right? And what do I mean by deliver? So you're on the courts, all your prospects have come. Now it's time for you to deliver. It's time for you to show out. You've spent a lot of time and effort trying to get these wonderful people to come out and give you a chance. So this is your chance to shine, guys. Now, before the lesson actually starts, I would have a general plan together of how the practice is going to be playing out. I would typically start off my practices with a group lesson to start assessing everybody's skill and how I can serve them better, right? And ideally, when they come to your practice, guys, be friendly. Start sharing your skills, sharing your knowledge with them. Treat them like your friends, guys, and they're gonna respect you for that. And it's gonna leave a lasting impression, right? First impressions are so important, so you really need to make sure that your practice is welcoming and is very informative at the same time, and that they're having fun. And what you'll see start happening is you're gonna start attracting people that like you, and then people who don't like you are just gonna leave. And that's all right. You don't wanna work with somebody who doesn't wanna work with you anyways, right? This is not a good relationship. So those people will just leave and you'll be attracting clients that like you. So it's a win-win, guys, right? So that's step number 5, guys, is to deliver. right? So those are my 5 steps for you guys to start your own tennis coaching businesses. I hope you enjoyed this video, and before I end this one off, I wanted to leave you guys with a motivational quote. It's one of my favorites to help inspire you guys to get out there and starting your coaching businesses. It goes, in the beginning, you're gonna suck, and for a while, you're gonna keep sucking, but eventually one day, you're gonna suck so little that you'll actually be good at it, right? I hope you guys liked that quote. It was just a little quote that I like and inspires me to keep reaching for more. But I hope you guys enjoyed that and enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys smash that like button if you got a lot of value today. Subscribe, and make sure you guys join the free Facebook group, link in the bio. Great atmosphere, like I said before. And with that said, I'm out, guys.